On March 27th, a door rarely opens this way, and this time, Archangel Michael is holding it open briefly before it seals again. This is not an ordinary date on a calendar. This is not just another sunrise or another passing hour. There are moments in history when heaven leans close to earth, when something shifts in the unseen realm before it ever becomes visible in the natural world. March 27th carries that kind of weight. It carries urgency. It carries precision. It carries a divine interruption to routine life. And if you are hearing this message right now, it is not random. It is not coincidence. It is alignment. A door that rarely opens is not like the doors you pass through every day. It is not casual. It is not predictable. It does not swing freely for anyone at any time. This kind of door represents access to a new level, a new assignment, a new chapter that was not previously available. For seasons, it may have seemed like you were knocking on something that would not move. You prayed. You waited. You prepared. Yet nothing shifted. What you did not see was that the door was sealed for a reason. It was not rejection. It was protection. It was not denial. It was divine timing holding back what you were not yet meant to carry. But March 27th marks a turning point. Something has completed in the spiritual realm. Something has aligned. The preparation phase is reaching its end, and the access phase is beginning. And this is why the urgency is real. Because when a door rarely opens this way, it does not remain open indefinitely. It opens with purpose, and it closes with finality. That is why this message carries weight. That is why you must pay attention. Archangel Michael is not mentioned lightly. He is not symbolic poetry or distant imagery. He is known as the protector, the defender, the warrior who stands in authority over spiritual transitions and battles. When Michael holds a door open, it is because there has been resistance. It is because forces have attempted to block what heaven has already approved. It is because something valuable stands on the other side. You do not assign a warrior to guard something insignificant. You do not dispatch a heavenly protector for a meaningless opportunity. The presence of Michael signals that what lies beyond this door carries destiny implications. There are moments when doors open gradually, gently, almost unnoticed. But this is not that kind of opening. This is a brief alignment window, a precise moment where obedience meets opportunity, a moment where hesitation can cost more than you realize. The phrase "holding it open briefly" should stir something inside you. It means this is temporary. It means this is strategic. It means this is urgent. Why March 27th? Because divine timing operates on appointed moments. Throughout Scripture, there were specific days when events shifted the course of history. A sea parted on a day. A wall fell on a day. A decree was issued on a day. Heaven moves with intentional timestamps, and this date carries that same intentional marking. It is not about superstition. It is about synchronization. The spiritual realm does not operate randomly. It operates with precision. And here is the rare revelation. This door is not opening for everyone. Many will go about their day unaware. Many will scroll past warnings, dismiss promptings, ignore inner stirrings. But those who are spiritually alert will feel it. There has already been a restlessness in you, the sense that something is about to change, a tension between where you are and where you know you are meant to be. That tension is not anxiety. It is transition knocking from the inside. When a door seals again, it does not always reopen quickly. Sometimes years pass before another opportunity of equal magnitude appears. That is why this message says, "Watch now." because awareness is the first step to movement. Ignorance can cause you to stand still while destiny is calling your name. You may be wondering, what kind of door is this? It could be spiritual elevation. It could be a divine connection. It could be restoration of something delayed. It could be the courage to step into a calling you have avoided. The specifics vary, but the principle remains the same. Access is being granted. And here is the deeper truth. The fact that this door is being held open means there was opposition. It means there were battles in the unseen realm that you never saw. It means prayers you thought went unanswered were actually fueling this very moment. Archangel Michael holding this door open is evidence that heaven fought for your access. But heaven will not force you to walk through it. This is why the connection between March 27th and your destiny is so clear. Timing and obedience intersect here. The door is rare. The opening is brief. The guardian is powerful. And the ceiling will be real. Something is about to shift. The atmosphere around your life is not the same as it was even a week ago. The pressure you feel is not random. The stirring you feel is not imagination. A threshold is forming. And once you cross it, nothing remains as it was. March 27th is not just a date. It is a decision point. It is a moment where courage must rise. Because a door rarely opens this way, and when Archangel Michael holds it open, it is because heaven has decided that your next chapter is ready. The only question that remains is whether you will recognize the moment before it seals again. Before a rare door opens, there is always a reason it remained closed. And if you are honest with yourself, you have felt the weight of that closure. You have stood in front of opportunities that would not move. You have knocked on doors that seemed promising, only to watch them stay sealed. You questioned your worth. You questioned your timing. You even questioned whether heaven had heard your prayers. But what if the closed door was never punishment? What if it was protection? There are seasons when heaven withholds access not to deny you, but to develop you. Growth often happens in hidden places. Preparation unfolds in silence. While you were asking for acceleration, God was building endurance. While you were praying for elevation, heaven was strengthening your foundation. Because if this door had opened too early, you would have walked into pressure without preparation. You would have stepped into visibility without stability. And that kind of exposure can break what has not been built in secret. The closed season was not empty. It was intentional. There were battles you did not see. There were delays that redirected danger away from you. There were relationships that had to fall apart because they could not follow you where you are going. There were habits that had to be confronted. There were fears that had to surface. The silence was not abandonment. It was alignment. Think about the weight of what lies beyond this door. If Archangel Michael is holding it open now, it means it carries impact. It carries responsibility. It carries influence. Heaven does not release weight into unprepared hands. And so, the door remained shut until your character caught up with your calling, until your faith matured, until your discernment sharpened. There were moments when you almost forced your way forward, moments when impatience whispered that you were being forgotten. But if you had forced entry, you would have stepped outside divine timing. And outside divine timing, even good opportunities can become burdens. The closed door preserved you from premature exposure. It shielded you from stepping into something before the appointed hour. Sometimes, when a door stays shut, it is because spiritual opposition is being confronted on your behalf. There are unseen conflicts that take place before breakthroughs manifest. Archangel Michael does not stand at random gates. He stands where battles have been fought. He stands where something significant is being guarded. The fact that this door is opening now means resistance has been pushed back. It means clearance has been granted. The waiting season was also a test. Not a test of perfection, but a test of persistence. Would you keep praying when nothing changed? Would you keep believing when results were invisible? Would you continue preparing even when there was no immediate platform? The closed door was measuring your consistency. It was shaping your resilience. It was teaching you obedience without applause. And here is the deeper revelation. Sometimes a door remains closed because other pieces of the puzzle are not yet in place. Divine timing involves more than just you. It involves people you have not met yet. It involves circumstances that must align. It involves shifts in environments and hearts and decisions that ripple across distances. Heaven coordinates details you cannot see. And until everything aligns, the door waits. But now something has completed. Something has clicked into place. The same door that refused to move before is about to open briefly on March 27th. Not because you demanded it. Not because you forced it. But because the timing has matured. If this resonates with you, if you can feel that your season of preparation has been long but purposeful, then take a moment right now. Like this video as a sign of agreement with divine timing. Subscribe to this channel so you remain connected to prophetic alerts when heaven signals movement. And comment I receive below if you believe March 27th carries significance for your life. Your engagement is not just digital activity. It is a declaration that you are attentive, that you are aligned, that you are ready. Because when you respond in faith, you shift from passive observer to active participant. The closed door taught you patience. It taught you discernment. It revealed who truly stands with you and who was only present for convenience. It stripped away illusions. It forced you to seek deeper roots rather than shallow success. And now, when the door opens, you will not walk through it carelessly. You will walk through it with awareness. Do not despise the season that felt restrictive. That confinement refined you. That delay purified your motives. That silence strengthened your spiritual hearing. The door was closed until your inner world could sustain your outer breakthrough. And here is what you must understand. Once this door opens, the preparation phase ends. The waiting shifts into movement. The lessons turn into assignments. The training turns into execution. That is why the closure lasted as long as it did. Because what is ahead requires the version of you that only the closed season could produce. March 27th is not random. It is the intersection of readiness and release. The door was closed because you were becoming. And now it opens because you have become. How do you know this door is meant for you? How do you discern whether March 27th is simply another day for others, but a defining moment for your destiny? The answer is not found in noise. It is found in the quiet confirmations that have been building inside you for weeks, maybe even months. There hath been a stirring in your spirit that you cannot fully explain. A restlessness that refuses to let you settle. You try to be comfortable where you are, yet something keeps whispering that this is not your final place. That whisper is not dissatisfaction. It is destiny stretching you. It is the sound of movement before motion becomes visible. You may have noticed unusual patterns lately. Repeated thoughts about change. Dreams that feel more vivid than normal. Conversations that seem to confirm something is shifting. Even obstacles that once intimidated you now feel like signs that you are nearing something significant. When a door is meant for you, the spiritual atmosphere around your life begins to adjust before the door even opens. Not everyone can see this door. Not everyone will sense March 27th as significant. Spiritual opportunities are often hidden in plain sight. Two people can stand in the same day, yet only one perceives the invitation. The difference is sensitivity. And if you are hearing this message with a deep sense of recognition, that is not accidental. That recognition is evidence. There has also been a refining process in your life. Situations that strip away distraction. Relationships that either deepened in authenticity or fell away entirely. You may have felt isolated at times, misunderstood even. But isolation often precedes elevation. Heaven sometimes reduces the crowd around you before expanding the territory before you. Another sign this door is meant for you is the way fear and faith have been confronting each other within you. You feel excitement about the future, yet you also feel the weight of stepping into something unfamiliar. That tension is not confusion. It is confirmation. Significant doors always require courage. If there were no risk, there would be no growth. You have also survived battles that should have broken you. Challenges that, by all natural reasoning, could have derailed your progress. Yet here you are, still standing, still believing, still searching for alignment. Survival is not random. Preservation is not coincidence. When Archangel Michael holds a door open, it is often for someone who has already endured warfare to reach it. Pay attention to the timing of this message in your life. Perhaps you were questioning your next step. Perhaps you were praying for clarity. Perhaps you were on the verge of giving up on something you once believed was promised to you. And then this message found you. That intersection is not random. When heaven wants to alert someone, he ensures the signal reaches the intended receiver. But here is something even deeper. When a door is meant for you, you feel both urgency and peace at the same time. Urgency because you sense the window is brief. Peace because something inside you knows this aligns with your purpose. A dual sensation is a spiritual fingerprint. It is heaven's way of saying, this is yours, but you must move. You may not have all the details yet. The full picture may still be unfolding. But clarity often comes after obedience, not before it. The sign is not that you understand everything. The sign is that your spirit keeps leaning forward. If this resonates with you, if you feel that internal confirmation rising as you listen, then seal this moment with a declaration. Type "I am ready" in the comments if this resonates with you. Blessing code 184 is now activated. And as you make that declaration, know that you are not simply typing words. You are aligning your voice with your calling. You are acknowledging that the door opening on March 27th is not for spectators. It is for participants. And I'll let this sink in. The reason not everyone can see this door is because not everyone endured what you endured to qualify for it. What once felt like delay was actually sharpening your spiritual sight. And now you can recognize opportunity where others see ordinary routine. There is one more sign. You feel a subtle sense that time is accelerating, that things are converging quickly, that decisions you have postponed can no longer be delayed. That acceleration is connected to this door. When the spiritual realm shifts, momentum follows. But this window will not remain open forever. The sign that it is meant for you also carries responsibility. Recognition must lead to action. Awareness must lead to movement. Because a door can be meant for someone, yet still missed if hesitation wins. In just a moment, you will understand why this opening cannot remain extended indefinitely, and what determines whether it stays accessible long enough for you to cross through. What is about to be revealed explains the urgency behind March 27th in a way you did not expect. As you step into this awareness, understand that this message is not just reaching you. It is reaching countless souls who are standing before their own rare doors. When you sow into this mission through super thanks, membership, or a PayPal donation using the link in the description or the QR code on your screen, you are not supporting a channel. You are opening doors for others to hear heaven's call. Scripture declares that when you sow beside many waters, you will reap in due season, and today that promise speaks directly to you. I believe this message is meant to move through you, not just to you. The same door that is opening in your life can become a doorway of light for someone else because of your obedience. This is a prophetic moment to plant into fertile ground. As you give, may open heavens respond over your household, and may the oil of provision never run dry in your life. Act now. Seal your obedience with generosity and become part of what God is unlocking in this hour. When we speak about this rare door opening on March 27th, we cannot overlook the one holding it open. Archangel Michael's involvement is not symbolic decoration. It is a declaration of spiritual seriousness. Michael is not assigned to minor adjustments or casual transitions. He stands where battles determine outcomes. He guards thresholds that separate old seasons from new dimensions. And if he is holding this door open briefly before it seals again, then understand this clearly. This shift is being contested. Throughout spiritual history, Michael is recognized as a defender, a warrior, and a protector of divine purpose. His presence signals that something of value is at stake. Doors that require his authority are doors that opposition attempted to block. That means the reason this opportunity feels heavy, intense, even urgent, is because resistance had been real. There have been unseen arguments in the spiritual realm concerning your advancement. There have been forces that preferred you remain where you were, comfortable, contained, and unaware of your next level. But heaven has ruled in your favor. Michael's role in this divine shift is not to push you through the door. He does not force obedience. He does not override your will. Instead, he secures the opening. He restrains interference long enough for you to choose. That is why the message emphasizes that the door is being held open briefly. Protection does not eliminate urgency. It creates opportunity within a limited window. You may have sensed heightened pressure recently. Increased distractions. Sudden doubts that seemed louder than usual. Unexpected and Williams. Strange emotional fluctuations. These are not random disturbances. When a major transition approaches, the atmosphere often reacts before the event occurs. Resistance tries to exhaust you before you reach the threshold. It tries to cloud your clarity. It tries to make you question what you already sensed was true. But Michael's presence means that the chaos cannot prevail. There is something powerful about a guarded door. It means the opening is intentional. It means it is not accessible through manipulation or force. It means only those aligned can pass through. This is not an opportunity you can stumble into casually. It requires awareness. It requires readiness. It requires spiritual courage. Michael stands at gates of destiny. Gates represent authority and transition. In ancient times, city gates were places of decision, legal matters, and leadership shifts. To stand at a gate was to stand at a point of change. And this door on March 27th functions like a gate. What you choose at this threshold determines the direction of the next season of your life. There is also a reason the message specifies that the door will seal again. Spiritual windows operate within timing. Once the moment passes, the protection shifts. The assignment changes. The opportunity moves forward. Michael does not hold doors open indefinitely. He acts according to divine instruction. When heaven says the time has come, he opens. When heaven says the time has passed, he steps back. This should not create fear. It should create focus. Because if Michael is holding this door, it means you are not stepping into the next season alone. Protection goes before you. Warfare has already been engaged on your behalf. Obstacles that once stood immovable have been restrained long enough for you to move. That is why the atmosphere feels charged. Something has been cleared. You may not see angels. You may not hear audible commands. But you can discern shifts. You can sense when pressure begins to break. You can feel when something once blocked starts to loosen. That loosening is not coincidence. It is clearance. However, understand this truth. Whenever Michael is active, opposition does not disappear quietly. It attempts last-minute interference. It amplifies distractions. It tempts you to delay decisions. It whispers that there is more time than there actually is. It encourages overthinking. It promotes hesitation disguised as caution. Discern the difference between wisdom and fear. Wisdom listens carefully and moves in alignment. Fear stalls and invents excuses. This moment requires wisdom, not hesitation. Michael's role also reveals something about your identity. Protection of this magnitude surrounds purpose of significance. You would not require this level of spiritual defense if your next step were insignificant. The intensity around this door is proportional to the impact of what lies beyond it. Perhaps that is why the preparation season felt so intense. Perhaps that is why the refining was so deep. The greater the assignment, the stronger the resistance. And the stronger the resistance, the greater the need for heavenly guardianship. On March 27th, as this rare door opens, understand that a warrior stands at your threshold, not to intimidate you, but to ensure that what has been authorized reaches you without sabotage. But you must still walk. The divine shift is not automatic. It is activated by movement. Michael can hold the door. Heaven can clear the path. Timing can align perfectly. But the final step belongs to you. And when you step through, you will not simply be entering a new circumstance. You will be crossing into a new level of responsibility, authority, and spiritual maturity. The guarded door is both invitation and elevation. The question is no longer whether the door is real. The presence guarding it confirms that. The question now is whether you will recognize the seriousness of this moment and respond accordingly. When a door rarely opens this way, and when Archangel Michael himself stands holding it open, the question naturally rises within you. What lies beyond it? What waits on the other side of March 27th? Why has heaven guarded this threshold so carefully? What lies beyond this door is not random blessing. It is aligned assignment. It is the next chapter that connects directly to everything you have endured, everything you have learned, and everything you have survived. This is not a decorative opportunity meant to oppress others. It is a purposeful transition designed to advance you into territory you were always meant to occupy. On the other side of this door, there is acceleration. For a long time, your life may have felt like it was moving in slow motion. Progress came in inches. Breakthroughs were partial. Answers were delayed. But acceleration follows alignment. When divine timing and personal readiness meet, movement becomes swift. What once took months begins to shift in days. What felt stagnant begins to flow. Beyond this door, there is restoration. Some of you have lost opportunities that seemed once in a lifetime. Some relationships fractured. Some dreams appeared to expire. But restoration does not always mean returning to the past exactly as it was. Sometimes restoration means receiving something greater than what was lost. It means recovering not just what slipped through your fingers, but gaining wisdom and strength alongside it. The door opening on March 27th carries the potential to restore momentum, restore clarity, restore confidence that was shaken during the waiting season. There are also divine connections beyond this threshold. People you have not yet met. Conversations that will redirect your path. Alignments that feel effortless because they were orchestrated, not forced. You may have struggled to fit into rooms that were never assigned to you. You may have tried to maintain connections that required you to shrink. But on the other side of this door are spaces where your growth is not threatening, where your voice is not silenced, where your presence is not tolerated but welcomed. Beyond this door is responsibility. That part cannot be ignored. With elevation comes accountability. With access comes expectation. The reason the preparation season was intense is because what lies ahead requires maturity. You are not crossing into comfort alone. You are crossing into calling. And calling carries weight. There may also be financial shifts tied to this door. Not merely wealth for indulgence, but provision for purpose. Resources connected to assignment. Opportunities that increase stability so that you can focus on impact rather than survival. For some, the door represents a career move. For others, it represents a ministry expansion. For others still, it is a personal breakthrough, freedom from cycles that have repeated for years. Freedom is another reality beyond this door. Cycles that have exhausted you will lose their grip. Patterns that once trapped you will weaken. The reason those cycles persisted was because the previous season required certain lessons. But once lessons are learned, repetition is no longer necessary. This door represents a shift out of repetition and into progression. There is also clarity waiting on the other side. During the closed season, confusion may have clouded your direction. You second-guess decisions. You question your instincts. But when you step through a divinely timed door, clarity follows commitment. The fog lifts after obedience. Direction sharpens after movement. Do not imagine the other side as instantly easy. Growth rarely is, but it will be meaningful. It will be aligned. The struggles you face there will be different from the struggles you leave behind. Instead of fighting to prove your worth, you will be building from a place of established identity. Instead of battling to survive, you will be strategizing to expand. Some of you sense that beyond this door lies visibility, increased influence, a platform you once feared. That visibility is not for ego, it is for impact. The preparation season humbled you so that promotion would not corrupt you. The silence trained you so that applause would not define you. And here is something crucial. What lies beyond this door will require decisiveness. The pace will not allow prolonged hesitation. Opportunities will demand response. Invitations will require clarity. The time for endless deliberation is ending. The time for confident steps is beginning. You may wonder if you are truly ready for what waits beyond. The truth is, readiness is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to move despite it. If you waited to feel perfectly prepared, you would remain where you are indefinitely. The door opens not when you feel flawless, but when you are faithful. Beyond this door lies expansion of your capacity. You will think bigger, pray deeper, lead stronger. The limitations that once defined you will feel too small. The version of you that survived the waiting season will not fit comfortably in the new space. You will have to grow into it. But growth is evidence of life. March 27th is not about curiosity. It is about crossing. What lies beyond this door is the continuation of your purpose in a higher dimension. It is not fantasy. It is not exaggeration. It is the natural next step for someone who endured preparation with persistence. The door is rare. The opening is brief. The guardian is present. And beyond it lies a season that will not look like the one you are leaving. There is a reason this message has repeated one phrase with such intensity. The door is being held open briefly before it seals again. That word briefly is not dramatic language. It is a spiritual reality. And if you do not understand why this door cannot stay open, you may misunderstand the urgency attached to March 27th. Divine timing does not operate on human convenience. It moves according to alignment, obedience, and heavenly instruction. When a door opens in the spirit, it is because multiple elements have synchronized at once. Your preparation, external circumstances, spiritual clearance, the positioning of other people, the restraint of opposition. All of these components align for a specific window. And once the alignment has served its purpose, the window closes. Think of it like a tide. When the tide comes in, it creates access to places that were unreachable before. But when it recedes, that same access disappears. You cannot command the ocean to remain still because you arrived late. You must move while the tide is favorable. March 27th represents a favorable tide. The door cannot remain open because seasons change. What is authorized in one season is not always authorized in the next. There are assignments that belong to specific moments. If delayed, they either transfer or transform. Heaven's calendar is precise. It does not pause because someone hesitates. Another reason the door cannot stay open is because prolonged indecision weakens spiritual momentum. Momentum thrives on movement. When opportunity lingers without response, the energy that supported it begins to shift elsewhere. The protection that held the door open is not designed to wait indefinitely. Archangel Michael holds it open long enough for obedience to activate, not long enough for endless analysis. Hesitation is often disguised as wisdom. You may tell yourself you are being careful, thoughtful, responsible. But there is a difference between discernment and delay. Discernment listens and moves in confidence. Delay listens and invents reasons to postpone. This door cannot stay open because the test attached to it involves decisive trust. There is also a spiritual principle at work. Opportunity honors readiness. If someone repeatedly ignores open doors, heaven may allow them to remain in familiar territory longer than they expected. Not as punishment, but as consequence. Growth requires participation. If you do not walk through what opens, you remain where you are. Understand this clearly. The sealing of the door does not mean your destiny disappears. It means the form of access changes. The path becomes longer. The process becomes slower. The lessons repeat until the response shifts. That is why this moment matters. The door is not about existence of purpose. It is about speed of fulfillment. Sometimes people assume that if something is truly meant for them, it will wait forever. But that belief misunderstands timing. There are moments when heaven says, now, not tomorrow, not eventually, now. And when that now passes, the opportunity adjusts to a different timetable. You may feel a subtle pressure building as March 27th approaches. That pressure is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to awaken you. Pressure clarifies priorities. It forces decisions to surface. It exposes where your trust truly lies. The door also cannot stay open because prolonged exposure invites unnecessary resistance. The longer a visible opportunity remains unclaimed, the more opposition attempts to interfere. A brief window limits sabotage. It allows swift movement before confusion can spread. A short duration is actually protective. There is something sacred about limited windows. They separate the serious from the casual. They reveal who truly desires growth and who prefers comfort. When time is abundant, procrastination feels harmless. When time is brief, priorities become obvious. The sealing of the door is not cruel. It is orderly. It reflects the structure of divine governance. Just as day transitions into night without negotiation, spiritual seasons transition without delay. March 27th marks a transition point. Before it, preparation dominated. After it, consequence will define the landscape, either consequence of obedience or consequence of hesitation. If you sense that this door is connected to your next level, then understand that the brevity is intentional. It calls you to rise. It calls you to respond. It calls you to step beyond overthinking and into alignment. The door cannot stay open because growth cannot remain theoretical. At some point, faith must become action. At some point, prayer must become movement. At some point, desire must become decision. And this is that point. When the door seals, clarity will follow. You will either find yourself stepping into new territory, where you will find yourself wishing you had moved. That contrast is not meant to threaten you. It is meant to focus you. March 27th is a line in time. Before it, the door stands open under guarded protection. After it, the atmosphere shifts. The invitation concludes. The next instruction begins. The question is not whether the door will stay open. It will not. The question is whether you will recognize the value of a brief window and move while it is still held for you. Before you cross a threshold guarded by destiny, there is always a test. Not a public test where others can measure your performance. Not a visible exam where results are announced. This test is internal. It is quiet. It is deeply personal. And as March 27th approaches, the test is already unfolding within you. The test before crossing this rare door is the battle between comfort and calling. Comfort whispers that where you are is familiar. It reminds you of the routines you have mastered, the patterns you understand, the safety of what is predictable. Calling, however, speaks of expansion. It invites you into spaces that stretch you. It asks you to release what has become too small for who you are becoming. Comfort promises stability. Calling promises growth. And growth always requires leaving something behind. You may feel this tension intensifying. One moment you are confident, ready to move forward. The next moment you question whether it is wise to disrupt what you have already built. That back and forth is not confusion. It is the test revealing itself. Every significant threshold demands surrender of an old identity. The version of you that survived the waiting season cannot fully cross into the next dimension unchanged. You cannot carry every habit, every fear, every coping mechanism with you. Some things that once protected you will now restrict you. Some patterns that once felt necessary will now feel heavy. The test asks, are you willing to let go? Letting go does not always mean abandoning people or responsibilities. Often it means releasing mindsets, releasing the belief that you are unqualified, releasing the story that you are always overlooked, releasing the fear that success will isolate you. These internal narratives can cling tightly, especially if they were formed during seasons of pain. But they cannot pass through this door. There is also the test of trust. Not vague optimism, but specific obedience. You may not see the entire blueprint of what lies ahead. You may only see the outline of a step. And the test is whether you will move with partial clarity. Faith does not demand full visibility. It demands willingness. Another layer of this test involves distraction. Notice what has been trying to capture your attention recently. Sudden opportunities that feel urgent but misaligned. Emotional triggers from past wounds resurfacing unexpectedly. conflicts that tempt you to invest energy in battles that do not serve your future. Distraction is often the final attempt to derail focus before breakthrough. Crossing this threshold requires discipline. Discipline in thought. Discipline in speech. Discipline in action. You cannot afford to speak doubt over what heaven has prepared. Words carry weight. Complaints drain momentum. Alignment requires guarding what you declare. The test also examines your motives. Why do you want what lies beyond this door? Is it for validation? Is it to prove something to someone who underestimated you? Or is it to fulfill the assignment placed within you long before others recognized it? Motive determines sustainability. If your desire is rooted in comparison, it will collapse under pressure. If it is rooted in purpose, it will endure. There is a subtle fear that often surfaces before elevation, the fear of visibility. In the waiting season, obscurity protected you. Fewer eyes, fewer expectations. But beyond this door may come increased exposure, more responsibility, more accountability. The test asks whether you are willing to be seen without losing yourself. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision that purpose matters more than fear. And courage is required now. Not reckless action, but bold obedience. The kind that says, even if I do not feel fully prepared, I will not retreat from what I know is aligned. You may also feel grief rising as you approach this threshold. Grief for the version of your life that is ending. Even good seasons must conclude for better ones to begin. It is natural to honor what carried you this far. But do not cling to it. Gratitude is healthy. Attachment is limiting. This test is not designed to make you fail. It is designed to make you conscious. Conscious of what you are carrying. Conscious of what you must release. Conscious of the seriousness of stepping forward. When you pass this internal examination, crossing the physical or practical threshold becomes natural. March 27th will not simply present an opportunity. It will reflect the decisions you have already made in private. The external door mirrors the internal readiness. If you have chosen courage over comfort, trust over hesitation, alignment over distraction, then crossing will feel like confirmation rather than shock. Understand this. The threshold is not your enemy. It is your invitation. The tension you feel is not a warning to retreat. It is a signal that you are standing at the edge of growth. And once you cross, there is no returning to who you were before. Not because the past disappears, but because awareness expands. Responsibility increases. Authority grows. The test before crossing the threshold is simple but profound. Will you remain who you were, or will you become who you are meant to be? The door is still being held open. The decision is forming within you even now. As March 27th approaches and the rare door stands open under guarded protection, there is something you must clearly understand. Not every force in the spiritual realm celebrates your advancement. Whenever heaven authorizes elevation, resistance intensifies. Whenever alignment forms, opposition attempts disruption. And when Archangel Michael is holding a door open briefly before it seals again, you can be certain that forces exist that would prefer it closed before you ever step through. This is not meant to create fear. It is meant to awaken discernment. The closer you move to crossing a significant threshold, the louder distractions often become. Small inconveniences suddenly feel overwhelming. Minor conflicts escalate unnecessarily. Doubts that were quiet for months begin shouting in your thoughts. You may find yourself revisiting insecurities you believed you had already overcome. That timing is not accidental. Opposition rarely announces itself directly. It works subtly. It plants hesitation disguised as wisdom. It magnifies worst-case scenarios. It whispers that waiting a little longer would be safer. It tells you that the risk outweighs the reward. And if you listen closely, you will notice a pattern. The voice of fear always encourages delay. Forces that want this door closed early understand something you must also recognize. Once you cross into your next level, certain battles lose their leverage over you. Certain cycles cannot follow you. Certain limitations dissolve. So the attempt is not always to destroy you. It is to stall you. Because if you remain where you are, you remain manageable. You may also encounter distraction through opportunity overload. Unexpected offers. Invitations that sound impressive but feel slightly misaligned. Doors that open prematurely, attempting to pull your focus away from the one that truly matters. Not every open door is the right door. Discernment is crucial in this hour. The enemy of your best is sometimes something that appears good. Another tactic is emotional exhaustion. As you approach breakthrough, fatigue can increase. You may feel unusually drained. Motivation fluctuates. Old memories resurface. Emotional triggers you thought were healed suddenly reappear. This is often the final wave of resistance before transition. It hopes to convince you that you are too tired to move forward. There is also the strategy of relational tension. Misunderstandings may increase. People who were comfortable with your previous version may react to your growth. Not everyone benefits from your elevation. Some prefer you smaller, quieter, less decisive. When you begin to change, it exposes dynamics that relied on your limitation. But hear this clearly, none of these forces have authority over the door. They can only attempt influence over you. Archangel Michael's presence at this threshold is evidence that the door itself is secured. The opening is protected. The timing is authorized. The real battleground is your agreement. Will you agree with fear or will you agree with faith? Will you allow noise to drown out clarity, or will you anchor yourself in what you know has been confirmed? This is why urgency matters now. The door is open briefly, and resistance knows that if it can distract you long enough, the window may close without you ever taking the step. Procrastination becomes a weapon in moments like this. Overthinking becomes paralysis. Doubt becomes delay. Guard your mind carefully in these days leading to March 27th. Monitor your thoughts. Be intentional about what you listen to and who you confide in. Not every voice deserves access to your transition. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is silence in the face of negativity. You may feel an unusual intensity building as the date approaches. Do not interpret that intensity as a sign to retreat. Often it is confirmation that something significant is near. Pressure increases before breakthrough. Resistance rises before release. A storm gathers before the shift. If this warning resonates with you, then respond with boldness. Type "I step forward" in the comments. Blessing code 329 is now activated. This declaration is not symbolic. It is alignment. It is you choosing to move despite resistance. It is you refusing to allow distraction to determine your destiny. Remember, the forces that want this door closed early cannot seal it themselves. They can only influence hesitation. They rely on your doubt to accomplish what they cannot legally enforce. But when you stand firm, when you stay focused, when you move with clarity, their strategy weakens. You will be glad you recognized this warning before the final moment arrived. Because what comes next reveals the one decisive action that secures your passage beyond interference. And once you understand that action, hesitation will no longer feel like an option. As you resist distraction and choose alignment, remember that your obedience does not only affect your life, it releases light into others who are standing at their own thresholds. When you give through Super Thanks, join as a member, or so through the PayPal link in the description or the QR code on your screen, you are planting seed into fertile spiritual ground. The word declares that those who sow generously will reap abundantly, and today that promise speaks directly over you. I believe this is your moment to turn revelation into action. Your generosity becomes oil that keeps this message flowing to nations, to hearts that are on the verge of giving up. This is not a donation. It is a prophetic seed in a decisive hour. As you give, may heaven multiply provision back into your hands and establish your steps firmly beyond every closed door. Step forward in faith and activate your seed now. As March 27th stands before you, and the rare door remains briefly open under guarded authority, everything now comes down to one decisive action. Not 10 actions, not a complicated strategy. One action that determines whether you merely witness this moment or fully enter it. That action is immediate obedience. Obedience is not dramatic. It does not always look grand or public. Sometimes it is a quiet decision made in the privacy of your own heart. Sometimes it is a phone call you have been delaying. Sometimes it is ending a pattern you know cannot follow you forward. Sometimes it is saying yes when fear wants you to stall. Immediate obedience is the bridge between opportunity and possession. The door does not respond to intention alone. It responds to movement. You may have prayed for confirmation. You may have asked for clarity. And through these past days, clarity has been forming. The stirring within you. The alignment of circumstances. The urgency of this message. Now comes the moment where thought must become action. Immediate obedience secures your passage because it demonstrates trust. It tells heaven that you value divine timing more than personal comfort. It signals that you are ready to move when instructed, not only when convenient. When obedience is swift, resistance loses ground. Doubt does not have time to construct arguments. Fear does not have time to rehearse worst-case scenarios. Delayed obedience, however, creates space for interference. The longer you wait, the louder competing voices become. The clearer the door appears today may not feel as clear if you allow hesitation to stretch into days of overthinking. Momentum is strongest at the point of revelation. That is why now matters. Immediate obedience may require a decision that feels bold. Perhaps you need to apply for something you assumed was beyond you. Perhaps you must release an attachment that has quietly limited you. Perhaps you must initiate a conversation that aligns your life with what you know is next. The specifics differ, but the principle remains constant. Act when prompted. There is power in decisive steps. Even small movements create spiritual traction. When you step toward the door, unseen support aligns behind you. When you speak in agreement with what you have discerned, the atmosphere shifts. Movement activates assistance. You may still feel nervous. That does not invalidate the step. Courage is not comfort. It is conviction stronger than fear. If everything felt easy, this would not be a rare door. It is rare precisely because it requires faith. Immediate obedience also protects you from regret. Regret is heavier than risk. Risk carries possibility. Regret carries what-ifs that echo long after the moment passes. On the other side of March 27th, you want to stand knowing you moved when invited. If this message is confirming something you already sensed, do not keep it to yourself. Share this video with someone who needs this prophetic alert. Subscribe to this channel so you remain connected when divine timing signals again. And if you feel the urgency of this hour, hype this video as a declaration that you are stepping forward with boldness. Your engagement is not just support, it is agreement with movement. Immediate obedience may also mean simplifying your focus. clearing unnecessary distractions, prioritizing prayer and clarity over noise. When a door is opened briefly, scattered attention becomes costly. Focus sharpens decision-making. Discipline protects direction. You do not need every detail mapped out. You need enough clarity to take the next step. Once you take it, further instruction often unfolds. Divine guidance is progressive. It meets you at each act of faith. Understand this deeply. The door being held open is an invitation, but your obedience is the key that turns the handle. Without that key, the opportunity remains visible but unused. With that key, passage becomes reality. There will always be reasons to wait. Conditions that seem imperfect. Variables you wish were more certain. But if you wait for perfect conditions, you may miss divinely timed ones. Perfection is rarely the prerequisite. Alignment is. Immediate obedience aligns you with the momentum of heaven. It places you in the flow rather than on the sidelines. It shifts you from observer to participant. As March 27th approaches, decide now what your response will be. Do not let the moment arrive without intention. Choose in advance that when the prompting comes, you will act. When clarity solidifies, you will move. When opportunity presents itself, you will step. Because what happens next depends entirely on this. And in the next part, you will see with sobering clarity what unfolds if this moment is ignored, what cycles may repeat, what opportunities may shift, and why this brief opening carries consequences beyond what most people realize. There are moments in life that quietly define the next several years. They do not always look dramatic on the surface. They may not arrive with visible signs or audible announcements. Yet they carry weight in the unseen realm. March 27th is one of those moments. And as urgent as this message has been about stepping forward, you must also understand the sober reality of what happens if this moment is ignored. Ignoring a divinely timed door does not mean your life immediately collapses. It does not mean all hope vanishes. It means something more subtle, and sometimes more costly. It means cycles may repeat. When a door opens briefly and is not entered, the lesson attached to that door often returns in a different form. The same themes, the same challenges, the same inner battles, not as punishment but as unfinished growth. What you were meant to confront at this threshold does not disappear. It simply waits for another appointed time. But here is the difference. The next opportunity may not carry the same ease of alignment. The protection that held the door open on March 27th may not extend in the same way later. The momentum available now may not feel as strong in the future. What could have been accelerated may unfold more slowly. Ignoring this moment also strengthens hesitation. Every time you delay a step you know is aligned, hesitation becomes more comfortable. It builds a pattern. The mind begins to normalize postponement. There will be another time, it whispers. It's not urgent. Over time, that whisper becomes a habit. Habits shape destiny more than single decisions. If delay becomes your pattern, progress becomes unpredictable. Another consequence of ignoring this door is internal unrest. When you know you were invited to move and chose not to, something inside you remains unsettled. You may try to distract yourself. You may rationalize the choice. But deep within, you will sense that something was left undone. That awareness can create quiet frustration. Cycles of doubt may also intensify. You may question your discernment. You may wonder whether you misheard the prompting. The longer you sit with inaction, the easier it becomes to second-guess yourself. Clarity fades when unused. Opportunities connected to this door may shift to others. Not because you are rejected, but because timing continues forward. Divine assignments do not freeze in place indefinitely. If someone is unwilling to carry a responsibility at the appointed hour, heaven often finds someone who will. This is not about competition. It is about cooperation. There is also the reality of spiritual stagnation. Growth requires movement. Without movement, even strong foundations can feel heavy. The waiting season you just endured was preparation. But if you remain in preparation when promotion was available, frustration increases. You may feel stuck, not because doors never open, but because you did not step through when one did. Ignoring this moment can also prolong environments you have outgrown. Relationships that were meant to shift may remain misaligned. Roles that were meant to evolve may feel increasingly restrictive. The tension you feel now may not disappear. It may intensify. However, hear this clearly. Ignoring the door does not mean you are abandoned. It means the journey adjusts. The road may become longer. The lessons may repeat until readiness is solidified. Mercy still exists, but mercy does not erase consequence. There is a difference between grace and exemption from growth. Grace supports you through transition. It does not remove the need for it. March 27th represents a brief alignment of timing, protection, and opportunity. If ignored, life will continue, but perhaps without the acceleration that was available, without the clarity that would have followed obedience, without the relief that comes from knowing you responded when called. And perhaps the most significant consequence is this: regret lingers longer than fear. Fear fades once action is taken. Regret lingers because it imagines alternate outcomes. It replays the moment. It asks, what if I had stepped forward? Those questions can echo for years. You are not being pressured into panic. You are being invited into awareness. The weight of this message is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to clarify the stakes. Doors that rarely open this way do not exist for convenience. They exist for transformation. To ignore transformation is to choose familiarity over destiny. But even now, the door remains open briefly. The opportunity is not yet sealed. The invitation still stands. Awareness has reached you before the moment has passed. That alone is mercy. The future beyond March 27th will reflect the decisions made before it. Either you will look back and say that with the day everything shifted, or you will look back and say that with the day I hesitated. The choice is still yours. As March 27th approaches and the rare door remains open under divine protection, the most important question now is not whether the door exists. It is how you position yourself before it. Positioning determines readiness. Readiness determines response. And response determines outcome. You do not prepare for a sacred threshold casually. You prepare intentionally. The first way to position yourself is through focused prayer. Not distracted words spoken out of routine, but deliberate alignment. Set aside time to quiet your thoughts. Ask for clarity, not comfort. Ask for courage, not convenience. When you pray with intention, you create space for confirmation. You reduce internal noise. You sharpen spiritual sensitivity. Prayer before a transition is not about persuading heaven. It is about aligning your will with what has already been authorized. It centers you. It steadies your emotions. It strengthens your discernment so that when the moment to act comes, you are not wavering. Another key form of positioning is clearing spiritual and emotional clutter. Examine what has been occupying your mind. Are there unresolved conflicts draining your energy? Are there distractions pulling your attention in too many directions? Simplify. Reduce unnecessary noise. You cannot carry excess weight through a narrow threshold. This may mean limiting exposure to negativity. It may mean stepping back from conversations that create confusion. It may mean protecting your time more carefully than usual. When a door opens briefly, scattered focus becomes costly. Positioning requires discipline. Fasting, in whatever form is meaningful and healthy for you, can also be powerful in this season. It is not about ritual. It is about intentional separation from what normally fills your attention. Whether it is fasting from certain foods, social media, or unproductive habits, the goal is clarity. When distractions decrease, direction increases. Positioning also involves self-examination. Ask yourself honestly, is there fear you have not confronted? Is there resentment you are still carrying? Is there doubt that needs to be addressed? Do not ignore these internal obstacles. Bring them into awareness. Release them deliberately. You cannot step fully into a new season while clinging to unresolved internal battles. Another essential element is gratitude. Reflect on the season that prepared you. Even if it was difficult, it shaped you. Gratitude stabilizes your emotions. It prevents desperation. When you are grateful, you approach the door from strength rather than scarcity. You should also listen carefully in these days leading up to March 27th. Guidance often comes subtly. A thought that returns repeatedly. A conversation that confirms direction. A conviction that grows stronger with time. Do not dismiss these impressions. Write them down if necessary. Pay attention to patterns. Positioning requires decisiveness before the moment arrives. Do not wait until the exact day to decide what kind of response you will give. Determine now that when alignment becomes clear, you will act. Pre-decided obedience reduces hesitation. You may also need to prepare practically. If this door involves a career move, update what needs updating. If it involves a relationship shift, clarify your intentions. If it involves a spiritual commitment, strengthen your daily discipline. Preparation demonstrates seriousness. It shows that you are not passively waiting but actively aligning. Guard your speech carefully during this time. Words shape atmosphere. Avoid speaking negatively about your future. Avoid diminishing what you sense is coming. Even casual statements can influence your mindset. Speak life over the transition. Speak confidence over your steps. Surround yourself with wise counsel, but choose wisely who you share this with. Not everyone understands prophetic timing. Share with those who encourage growth, not those who instinctively promote caution rooted in fear. Positioning includes protecting your vision from unnecessary doubt. Rest is also part of preparation. Do not enter March 27th exhausted and overwhelmed. Make space for physical and emotional renewal. When you are rested, your decisions are clearer. Fatigue can distort discernment. Strengthen your body as you strengthen your spirit. Above all, maintain awareness. Do not treat the days leading up to this date as ordinary. Move through them consciously. Observe what shifts internally. Notice what intensifies. Pay attention to what feels urgent. Awareness heightens readiness. This positioning is not about striving. It is about alignment. The door is not earned by perfection. It is entered through preparedness. March 27th is approaching whether you prepare or not. But preparation changes how you experience it. When the moment arrives, you do not want to feel rushed. You want to feel ready. Ready to move. Ready to speak. Ready to decide. The rare door remains open briefly. Archangel Michael stands at the threshold. The timing is precise. Now is the season to steady your heart, clear your mind, and align your actions. because in the final moment before the door seals, you will either stand prepared, or you will wish you had taken these days more seriously. This is the final call before the door seals. March 27th is not approaching quietly. It is advancing with purpose. The rare door that has been held open under divine authority will not remain open indefinitely. Archangel Michael has stood at this threshold long enough for awareness to reach you, long enough for preparation to mature, long enough for clarity to rise above confusion. But the moment of decision is now at hand. Throughout this message you have heard about timing, protection, urgency, resistance, and obedience. None of it was meant to create pressure without hope. It was meant to awaken you to the significance of what stands before you. Doors that rarely open this way are not ordinary life events. They are spiritual intersections. They divide seasons. They severing preparation for promotion. March 27th represents that dividing line. If you have listened carefully, you already know what this door represents in your life. It may be a bold step you have delayed. It may be a release you have resisted. It may be an opportunity you quietly prayed for but doubted would ever arrive. Now it stands before you, not as a distant possibility, but as a present invitation. Archangel Michael holding this door open is not a symbol of pressure. It is a symbol of protection. It is evidence that heaven values what lies beyond this threshold. It is proof that unseen battles have already been fought on your behalf. You are not stepping into uncertainty alone. You are stepping into alignment that has been guarded. But the final step belongs to you. The door will seal again. Not because you are unworthy, not because grace is absent, but because seasons transition, windows close, assignments advance. The sealing of the door simply marks the end of this particular opportunity in this particular form. If you choose to step through, expect a change. Expect growth. Expect responsibility. But also expect support. Expect clarity. Expect acceleration. The same authority that held the door open will not abandon you once you cross. Protection does not disappear after obedience. It accompanies it. If fear attempts to rise in this final moment, remember what you have already overcome. Remember the waiting season that strengthened you. Remember the battles that refined you. You were not preserved this far to retreat at the threshold. This is not a call to reckless action. It is a call to align movement. Move with prayer. Move with clarity. Move with conviction. Let move. As this message closes, let it settle deeply within you. March 27th is a decision point, a spiritual marker, a moment that can redefine direction. When you look back on this date, you will remember whether you stood still or stepped forward. Choose forward. Choose courage over comfort. Choose obedience over hesitation. Choose destiny over familiarity. Type "The door is open" in the comments. Blessing code 951 is now activated. As you declare this, receive this assurance. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. The fact that you are hearing this message before the door seals is confirmation that mercy has reached you in time. That alone is grace. May peace steady your heart. May clarity silence confusion. May courage rise stronger than fear. And may your steps on March 27th be firm, confident, and aligned with heaven's design for your life. The door is open briefly. The guardian stands. The moment is now. Step through. As you prepare to cross this threshold, remember that this message did not reach you by accident, and there are countless others still waiting to hear their call. When you give through super thanks, become a member, or sow through the PayPal link in the description or the QR code on your screen, You are helping keep this door of revelation open for souls across the world. The Word declares that when you cast your bread upon the waters, it will return to you after many days, and today that promise speaks directly over your obedience. I believe this is your moment to turn revelation into seed. Your generosity becomes light in dark places, oil that keeps the flame burning, provision that carries this warning to hearts on the edge of breakthrough. This is not a casual offering. It is a prophetic act tied to divine timing. As you give, may doors of favor open in your life just as this door has opened before you. Act now. Seal this moment with bold generosity and become part of what heaven is releasing in this hour.